Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, and it is a good day when we have our friends from the organization is Boys to Men Mentoring. The chief, I love this, Neville, success officer. What do you think about that?
It's a great title.
It is, exactly. And that is Joe Sigurdson, joined by his colleague, his friend, this gentleman I've been honored to work with. Well, I won't give away how many years he is because he doesn't age, but I do. He's done so many wonderful things, him and his family, for years and years and years in San Diego, and that's Ernie Hahn III. He's the founder of CaddyHack. How you doing, Ernie?
Good morning. Great to be here. It's been a lot of years. I think it's close to 30 years we've worked together. So.
Easy 30 years, and the iconic Hahn family. You look around, if you see something good in San Diego, it probably has the name Hahn on it, and always thrilled when my colleague and longtime friend Neville Villamoria co-hosts with me. Neville is the vice president, probably senior vice president. I don't know, next, will you be CEO probably next week?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay, very good. Of marketing and community relations for Mission Fed Credit Union, and we're in this beautiful Mission Fed studio. And Scripps Ranch Mission Fed has been the sponsor of the Spotlight Show now, coming up on 1 year. Joe, we'll start right with you. Talk a little bit about the mission of Boys to Men Mentoring.
Okay. So we're an in-school group mentoring program for young men that are struggling, and we send teams of mentors into the schools to sit in circles with the boys, and we share our stories about what happened to us and how we felt and some of the decisions we made from those feelings, and we create this like liminal transformational space for the boys to follow suit. And when they hear the men being authentic and honest and vulnerable, they feel safe enough to start sharing their stories about what's happening to them and how they're feeling and the choices they're making, the price they're paying. And our job is to not judge any of that, to just meet them right where they are and ask them open-ended questions like, is this what you want? Or how is that working? Or if we could wave a magic wand over this situation, what would you want different? Giving the boys an opportunity to make new choices. And when they make new choices, they're being witnessed by a community. So they're putting it out there.
Right.
And then they're being offered support from the mentors, and that can look like a text message, a phone call, an Instagram message, where they're being reminded about the choice they made and making sure they're following through with it. And then the following week, we do a round of accountability to see if they've done what they said they wanted to do to be the men they say they want to be. So our mission is we empower boys to live their dreams.
No, I think that's fantastic. And Ernie, what attracted you to this group?
Well, we have some common friends, and we met, probably it was 11, 12 years ago at least, but down at Black's Beach. We both share that love of surfing, and we were talking one day, and he was sharing kind of about Boys to Men, and I had just, I was involved with the Century Club at the time, and I was on the board, and we started talking a little bit more about creating some content and event. And we actually got started initially with this one wave challenge, where we were trying to set the world record for the most number of surfers on one wave at one time, and get exposure for Boys to Men, and do it the same weekend as the farmers.
Right.
And it would be good content for farmers as well leading into it. And so we did that for a couple of years. And then there was a situation with the Century Club where I didn't like a couple of things that had happened. And so I resigned coming off of the board. And I had this time that I had been putting a lot of time into sponsorships, partnerships, and the betterment of golf. And I love golf. I don't play a ton of it, but I do love it.
Right.
And Joe and I started talking. I said, let's put together this golf tournament. I got this extra time that I was putting in the Century Club. I want to put it towards a charitable. That's how I was raised from my dad and my grandpa, just to give back to the community. You know how much we love San Diego, both of us and all of us.
100%.
Yeah. And so I said, we're going to put this one-of-a-kind golf tournament together. And he goes, yeah, we tried that. We raised like $5,000. I go, this is going to be a little different. Yeah. And I don't think he knew how different at that time. I didn't quite know how different, but I wanted to take my relationships with, and all the people that I knew in food and beverage and all the stuff that had come through the arena where, I was for 30 years running as the GM and then music, which is a big part of my life and all the shows we'd do at the arena, and then call together these bands that I knew and make it kind of this irreverent CaddyHack themed. And there came CaddyHack, and we started it, and people dress up in crazy outfits. They have crazy names for their teams. You play a four-person team plays another four-person team. So there's no need for a mulligan because you're playing the other foursome in the same group. And after 18 holes, whoever wins advances from that group to a shootout. And, there's great food and beverage, and there's a live band playing that you can learn about, and you can actually learn how you can book those bands. That a lot of people don't understand that. Most people don't actually. And we had all of this fun was disguised ultimately to get people to understand what Boyz II Men is, and ultimately like Skylar and having a lot of these young men that are out there helping. I mean, they're loading in early in the morning, they're loading in late at night, and and that's the beautiful thing about Boyz II Men. It's for these young men that want to be great. They got to work for it, and they get great mentors and great people around it. And it's been great seeing a lot of these young men just go on to do really wonderful things that didn't have much. And Boyz II Men is a great out. And we just throw one hell of a great party for the community and sponsors. And, everybody that plays in this thing says, oh my God, this is the best golf tournament I've ever played. And because it is, it's fun. And in most golf tournaments this year, Drew, Neville, we're going to have 27 live bands out in the course.
Oh,
it's not normally something.
What date's it going to be?
It's July 24th.
Okay. And and where is it going to be?
It's out at Fairbanks Ranch Country Club. We end up using all 9s, 3 9s there.
I know it well. We're just there for a junior achievement event, right?
So we use all 27 holes, and there's 8 people per hole. It's 216 golfers. So it's the largest one going on. And so we're always looking for more corporate support because we sell it out every year. So you max out on that dollar amount. And so the more corporations that come on board, it just adds to the bottom line. And last year we raised, $250,000, which allows us to add a lot more schools that are on the waiting list that want this critical program.
So it was more than the 5,000?
It was more than the 5,000.
A little bit.
Yeah. Neville, this is in your wheelhouse. There's so many things in the wheelhouse if it happens to do with character and youth and mentoring on this. Talk about what this means to you personally and maybe to Mission Fed.
I think it's really difficult to grow up today, period.
Yes.
Even if you're blessed with a lot of resources. Now, back out some of those fundamental resources, like having a strong father figure in your life, and just reflect on what the impact would be. Now, flip it and use an intervention like Boyz II Men mentoring, and look at what the outcome could be. I think we're sitting at that intersection here with a very talented and committed and purpose-driven organization, and supporters, creative supporters, who are able to amplify the voice and viewpoint and impact. And when you have that intersection of both effective intervention and a way to build a brand and engagement around the topic, that's pretty powerful. So kudos to both of you, all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, without question. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, now the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're in our 17th year in these beautiful Mission Fed studio in Scripps Ranch, and Mission Fed for 60-plus years has just been doing wonderful things in every facet, education, environment, art, throw in 75 other adjectives in there. We're chatting with Joe Sigurdson. He is the Chief Success Officer for Boyz II Men Mentoring Network, and joined by the inimitable Ernie Hahn III, longtime friend, colleague, and the founder of CaddyHack, and everybody who knows the Hahn name. They've been doing great things for so long. One of these days I tease Ernie about this. It's been a while since I've seen him. He knows my love for music too, Joe, and he's been invited to this, and he hasn't come yet, but he knows what I'm going to say. So I went to my 33rd annual New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. He's smiling right now. It's hard to see this through the internet. When are you going to join us? We got 34 lined up in 2024.
It's going to happen. We got to do it. You know, I would say out of all the music that's out there, jazz is I like all music.
Right.
It's probably the area I know the least about, but I like to have a good time, and that's what's so beautiful about music. It brings everybody together, and in a world today that seems like everybody is fractured at so many levels.
100%.
That's what I do love about CaddyHack is that. You're there to support a great cause, and you're actually learning and hearing from these 27 different groups that are playing there. And if people also knew, it's important for me to get back to these local groups because, you know, they're getting paid, but they're bringing their time. They're out there for 6 hours in the sun, and
right.
It's not that they're not having a good time, and it's great exposure for them. But if you knew that you were going to spend $400 or $500 on a taco cart and have people come over to your house, but if you knew you could actually, you know, book a band for another $300 or whatever. Nobody knows how to do that. So these are great bands that we can bring around.
Sure.
And it was kind of full circle last night. I went to the Belly Up last night, and it was Band of Gringos and Daring Greatly.
Oh, my gosh.
Which are two bands that have been with us for 5 years playing in the festival. And the Daring Greatly guys are, you know, out on the road doing big things. And they're like, hey, we're really sorry we can't be there this year.
Yeah.
So it's just there's a real love that people have for it.
Now, you know, my good friend Neville Villamoria is quite an accomplished musician. He's shaking his head. No, he is. Ernie, do you play any instruments?
I play guitar.
Oh, do you? Okay. How about you, Joe?
Yeah. I play the piano and sing, and
really,
yeah. I'm really good, Drew.
No, I don't.
Drew. Not only is he really good, but I got to tell a story because in year when we were in year 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
We were going to get to 6 bands that year, and we were at 5, and it was like a week out or whatever. And we were sitting in the board meeting, and his brother Corky was there, and I'm like, okay, we need one more band. I'll figure it out. And you know, Corky across the table raises his hand, which is a little bit unusual, but I go, yeah, Cork, what do you think? He goes, I think I know who could play. And I go, oh yeah, who's that? He goes, well, Joe's a really good pianist, and he's got a really good voice. And when he was growing up, we used to call him, you know, Elton Joe.
Yeah.
And he goes, is that true, Joe? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I got it. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, you got it. Not only you add it, but I've already figured it out. And so we had figured it out that we got one of the flatbed electric carts. I'd already figured out in my mind, and we were going to put the little piano set up in there, dress him up like Elton Joe. And so literally you'll be in there with your foursome playing a foursome.
Beautiful.
And then at 3 miles an hour going by you really slow like a float is, you know, goodbye, Norma Jean. and he's playing, he looks like a combination of Elton John and Liberace, quite frankly. It's a little more Liberace than Elton Joe. But
beautiful.
But those are the things, or Sergio, who's a roving guitarist that's walking out in the chorus. It's just, we always say, expect the unexpected. 40-foot inflatable gopher, you got to hit over into one of the greens. As Skylar knows, we've got little chipmunks running around, and we have our own mascot. So, yeah, we come back from break. We're going to talk more about CaddyHack. It's going to be on the 24th of July, Fairbanks Ranch. It will sell out. It always sells out. Looking for more corporate sponsors. We're going to chat more with Joe on what our listeners can do to support Boys to Men. Obviously, go to CaddyHack as well, but other opportunities, and really get Neville's take on this. He loves music as much as all of us sitting at this table is all. We know that music lights a fire under anybody. Music is colorblind, and it's diverse and it's cool. And if Drew waved the magic wand, that's all we would be doing is playing music. We're going to be right back with our friends from Boys to Men Mentoring. Joe Sigurdson, he is the Chief Success Officer. Ernie Hahn III, the founder of CaddyHack, and just a wonderful community leader. My good friend, a longtime friend, and my co-host, Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Marketing Community Relations. I'm Drew Schlosberg. We're having another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show here in the beautiful Mission Fed studio in Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed doing great things for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 17th year. And there's wonderful studios here in Scripps Ranch. It's Mission Fed studio. Mission Fed's been doing just great things, as we all know, for more than 60 years. Honored to have with us Joe Sigurdson. He's the Chief Success Officer for Boys to Men Mentoring. Ernie Hahn III, the founder of CaddyHack. It'll be on July 24th at Fairbanks Ranch. More information on that, and then joined by Neville Villamoria, my co-host and Senior VP of Marketing Community Relations for Mission Fed. So Joe, for those folks, and we're going to spend more time talking about CaddyHack, and I want to get Neville's feedback on music and all that business, as Ernie's been talking about. What else can people do to support your organization?
Well, we're always looking for more men. These wonderful young guys that are waking up to their own sense of purpose and power, to have a community of strong men to be a sounding board for their lives and for their choices is critical to their personal growth. And it's also critical for Boys to Men to stay in business. We have a wonderful staff of brilliant, diverse young guys that are running the circles, and we've got our volunteer mentors that support the staff in our circles. But we are always looking for more men to commit to a couple hours a week. And now we're in the summertime. Now we've got 24 events scheduled in the next 12 weeks, and to keep the boys engaged over the summer, we're doing hiking, we're doing surf nights, we're doing batting cages, driving range, go-karts. We're doing a beach cleanup with Surfrider Foundation. We're volunteering at the food bank. We're doing food distribution. So the boys get this, this overall sense of community and service. These are some of our core values that we're instilling. So, if anybody's looking to find more purpose and mission in their lives, boystomen.org and volunteer.
No, that sounds great. And, Neville, I want to get back to what Ernie was talking about, and Joe as well, Elton Joe. That'll be your new name forever. Okay. Thank you very much, Ernie, for giving us that moniker. We appreciate that. But Neville, music is in your DNA, has been for many, many years. But just talk about how important it is, especially with an organization like Boys to Men.
Well, I think they're both separate and related. So the music first. What you were saying before break, I think is spot on. Music is the great leveler. If you did a functional MRI of our brains when we're either listening to or playing music or connecting, our whole brain lights up. It's a most integrative, holistic, experiential, particularly if it's not just performative. So if you're not just out there just trying to show everybody how bitchin' you are, but you're genuinely committed to creating an experience with your audience, that's a transformative experience. And there's nothing more fun than doing that. So I think the connection to this important program, Boys to Men Mentoring, is we're trying to foster that same level of connection and authenticity and being in the moment and getting real. And that's what a great performer does, and that's what a great mentor does. They're willing to make space and give grace and be reflective and model the kind of behaviors that you want to see and foster in the youth. I think great leaders create great leaders, and it requires good mentors to make good mentors. And so there's a scaling opportunity here for those folks that recognize the importance of male role models, that are willing to give a little bit of their time and energy in service and support of that. And they're going to leave a legacy. Like Ernie said, hey, I was raised to give back. I think we should all be raised to give back, and we help others rise up when we give back.
Well, there's no question about that. And, Ernie is really a poster child. You are too, Neville, on that. Obviously, what you're doing, Joe, to say the least. I've been honored to been involved in this community and hopefully given back at some level, down the road and all that, and getting a chance to work with everybody is just, so important. Ernie, you brought up something that I think was great. When you work with folks like Skylar, and we're going to hear from Skylar in the next show, they're learning skill sets of whether they're setting up an event or learning how to be on time, learning, though, that, listen, there are people that count on you. If you're in charge of putting the flag pins up and you forgot to put them in 3 of the holes, oops, on that. Talk about how important that is, Ernie.
Well, it is. It's getting up and doing it each and every day. And I'll go back to community, and it's just like how I was raised. I was lucky enough to come home and have a dad that would play catch with me and coach me in sports and taught me all that. And I've been able to do that with my kids. And so when I first, when Joe was first telling me about this, I also wanted to go down and see it. And I went to a couple of the groups, and I sat in the circle, and I heard this young man talk about his, parents getting divorced, and he was blaming himself. He was, he's probably 12 years old. And I saw one of the other boys in the circle put his arm around him, and pretty soon everybody was kind of crying and supporting him. And I went home and I told the story to my wife, and next thing we're both crying in bed talking about it. I'm like, it was really impactful.
Right.
And so I think, my strength is events and community. And so this was, how can we create the most fun event where I can get corporations and people that have this most fun during the day, but it's all disguised really about you coming to Boys to Men and us being able to tell you about this in a fun way. So we're not cramming it down, down your throat, but you see it. And I don't know, I've always, it's popular to call, different hacks now what it is, but you and I have been working together for 30 plus years.
That's right.
One of the early hacks we had, and I'll never forget this because it's one of the things I'm most proud of, is that we had this hockey team that started off in town, and I couldn't get.
I know the story.
I couldn't get the support of Karen Winters. I'm going to mention her name because she wouldn't support us at the time, and she was the bigwig over at UT. And we were doing 8,000 people a game, and the water cooler talk was that you don't have a beat writer because you're not doing enough for it, and this and that. And so Drew and I started talking, and Drew had this amazing, through the community again, he had the UT Shoe Fund. Well, we happened to have this really tough enforcer that played for the Gulls named Bruce Shoebottom. I swear it was Bruce Shoebottom. And we got together this program with Drew, thanks to this, and we were running full-page ads in the UT because we couldn't get it normally. And it was Bruce Shoebottom, and he had his whole outfit. He was sitting there in the locker room. Everything looked perfect, but he was without skates. He was barefoot. So obviously he wasn't dressed for success at that point. He didn't have the shoes or the skates needed. And we would run these full-page ads through Drew and this community partnership together. And then we'd happen to say, hey, don't forget, on there, Fresno versus San Diego next Thursday night at 7 p.m. So we found a hack around it through a community and through community service, and the shoe fund was there. And so, thanks to you, and obviously I hear you say now the longest running 17 years. Very impressive for you guys, but this is no different. I saw this. This is such. You can turn the needle so easily. When you raise $250,000 for this organization, it changes hundreds and hundreds of young men's lives. And just seeing one of them's enough, but I've now seen so many of them, and we have a fun time doing it. Or the 100-Wave Challenge, or the 1-Wave Challenge, or these community groups. It's fun. It's interactive. The boys have a good time, and the boys learn lessons of showing up, and they hold them accountable. So you don't get a free ride in this deal. You got to be accountable, as Skylar knows.
Well, and on that again, we're chatting with Ernie Hahn III. He is the founder of CaddyHack. It'll be on July 24th, Fairbanks Ranch. All 27 holes will be used. This thing will sell out, but there are some sponsorships available. Joined by his colleague Joe Sigurdson. He's the Chief Success Officer for Boys to Men Mentoring, and Neva Villamoria, my co-host, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. And, I think one thing, Joe, we got a few more minutes here. I want to get some of your thoughts and then tee it over to Neville. Neville's always got some great wrap-up. Is, we talk about Skylar. We're going to hear from him in a few minutes. But it's not just Skylar. It's Skylar's siblings, it's Skylar's parents, it's Skylar's aunts, uncles, pets, I don't know, whatever thing. I'm not sure if you have pets or not, Skylar. We're going to find out about that. But it's, yes, you've changed Skylar's life, but you've changed everybody it's in a circle. Talk about that, Joe.
Oh, gosh, you couldn't have been more spot on, Drew, because Skylar brought his little brother Cameron in, and Cameron has now been initiated. He's a J-man. He's a journeyman in the Boys to Men culture. Journeyman is a kid that has finished his rites of passage experience. Skylar is a journeyman leader. Now Cameron is on a journeyman track, and Skylar's been just this amazing. And I was just telling him, he's like the spiritual leader of the home. Just by not, and I don't know if it's intentional or by default, but this kid, is given permission for everybody to be more honest and straightforward about where everybody is and what's going on. And I know his mom fully supports both boys being involved in Boys to Men. She's going to bring him out tonight for the community appreciation dinner tonight at Boys to Men Central. So, there's an exponential effect when these kids start feeling better about themselves and making healthier and better, stronger choices. They're affecting their siblings. Yep. They're affecting their parents. They're affecting their friends. There's this ripple effect that goes out past the individual boys. So we got 800 kids in our program, right? Enrolled countywide. But that ripple effect is affecting thousands. Yeah. Thousands of people are being affected by these guys showing up, getting real about where they are in their lives, what's working, what's not working, what they're willing to do something different, and having a community to witness and support that. It's amazing.
Well, good. That's a great tee up and a teaser to Skylar coming on in a few minutes here. Neville, any final comments?
Life hacks do work. It's up to us to be creative about how we can solve seemingly intractable problems. And here we're seeing in living action the power of edutainment. We're using experiential learning to make a really fun, non-threatening, but deeply connecting opportunity. You can do this in the form of sound lyrics, since music seems to be the sub-theme here.
Yes.
You can go from Sting's so lonely, to Teach Your Parents Well. Yeah. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. And I think in many ways, it's not just the whole family that gets impacted. There's some learning that goes back to the mentors too.
Yeah, absolutely. Symbiotic learning and teaching from the boys and from the mentors. Right. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny Neville mentioned Teach Your Children, because I was just on, as Neville knows, I've been honored. I have a boat that's docked in front of the Humphrey stage. Went to 46 concerts last year, no surprise to Ernie. And Graham Nash played on Sunday. And he certainly sang Teach Your Children, one of the all-time greats. Neville, always appreciate you joining me. Joe, I know you're going to be on for the next segment, and Ernie, I'm not sure what your schedule is, but if you have time to hang out, that would be great too, as we chat with Skylar and learn his story. boys2men.org, CaddyHack, July 24. Just look it up on the website, Fairbanks Ranch. If Ernie Hahn is involved in this thing is going to be the bomb. Really appreciate all you folks coming on, and we hope everyone enjoyed the show. Thank you.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.